Hello, this is the third part of the Gradebook series videos. In this video, I will be covering creating a category, creating grade items, and then linking those grade items to an activity such as discussions, Dropbox, quizzes, etc. Let's begin. Open your course and we are going to click on Grades, Manage Grades. The Manage Grades is where we're going to go to create the categories and the grade items and create that structure or the organization of your gradebook. When you have done this and you're satisfied with everything, you will more than likely be using the Enter Grades area. This is where you have a list of your students and their grades and activities. So for this demonstration, we're going to go to Manage Grades, and in this demonstration, I am using the weighted grade scheme. When you open up your Manage Grades area, you will see an error message at the top, and you will see two items, a final calculated grade and a final adjusted grade. These two rows cannot be deleted. This is turned on at an institutional level, and you can't hide them either. We just have to leave them, and this is what you'll see. And what we're going to do is start building out the framework of my gradebook. And I like to organize it with categories and then put the grade items into the categories. So to create a category, I'm going to click on New Category, and this is Discussions, and I'm just going to leave the weighted at 10 for this demonstration. I will distribute my grades evenly across all items. The system will do the math for you for the last two, or you can manually create the weighted grade, which that's fine. You just click on the manual, and that means one discussion can be worth more than the other discussion. But for this demonstration, I'm going to use distribute weights evenly across all items. If you ever have a question what one of these features are, you can click on the question mark and you can see what it means. This is all I'm going to do for now. I'm going to save and close. And I'm going to do this a few more times to build out my course gradebook. Okay, so I have built 4 categories, and now I'm going to put my grade items underneath these. But first I want you to notice that the categories are in blue. Okay, so that's something to look for as you building this out, to make sure you have all your grade items underneath or inside a category. There will also be an indentation. Also, I want to point out that I didn't change the weighted grade because I just wanted to build this out. But if you notice, it's telling me that, hey, you only have 40% of 100% for your final grade. So I need to change these. I can do this by clicking the down arrow and edit. So maybe my discussions are worth 35 points. I just changed the weight there. And there's my 35, and you'll see this number is changing. My assignments might be 30 points. My quizzes, just because I like to give my quizzes as an open book, I'm going to make this a low weight on the quizzes, so I am going to leave this at 10. And I'm going to go to my presentations. Okay, now you will see that my categories equal 100%. Now your categories, this should match the same weights that you have listed in your syllabus. So whatever you have for discussions or assignments or the quizzes or final exam, make sure that this matches your syllabus grade structure. Now I'm going to put the grade items underneath these categories. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start building out the items. So I'm going to put a grade item and numeric, and I'm just going to keep this simple and say M1 discussion, and I'm going to select the category. So I did that kind of quick. What I'm going to do is click on the drop down, and it's going to show the categories that we just created, and I'm going to put it in the discussions and save and close because I'm done for right now. And as you see now, the grade items they have a white background, and it's also indented, so you can tell by glancing at this that I do have M1 under my discussions. And what these grade items will do is it creates the name of the columns in your gradebook. So if I flip over to Enter Grades real quick, you will see my category as discussions, and now I have a grade item in it, discussion 1. So as we build the managed grades area out, you will also see it develop in the Enter Grades. So I'm going to go back to managed grades and do this a couple more times, and then I'm going to show you how you can create the activity such as discussion, quizzes, Dropbox presentations, any of those activities. You can do this while you create, so you don't have to go back and forth. You can actually do it in one location. Save and close. And I'm going to do a couple of Dropboxes. Now if you notice, I'm changing the name I'm calling these because in my Dropboxes I named them Assignment 1, Assignment 2, Assignment 3, Assignment 4, and so on. So I want my grade item name to match the name of my activity. It would be much easier for you to find in the long run, especially when you start moving content from one course to another. So I'm going to select the category as Assignment Dropbox, save and close. And I'm going to do a couple of quizzes, and then we're going to come back and look at the calculations that Folio is doing. What we're looking at here is I chose, when I set up the categories, and we'll look at one real quick for a reminder, that I selected distribute weight evenly across all items. And that is why you see how the calculation is done. While I am in here, this is a quiz. This is my quizzes category. So to help my students out, maybe it's maybe I want a holiday spirit. So I'm going to drop the lowest grade in this quizzes category. So what I want to do is come over here to number of the lowest non-bonus items to drop for each user. It defaults to 0. I want to do 1. You can do 2 if you like, but I'm going to do 1 for this demo. And you can see that I've done this. It has a little question mark. If you hover over it, this means that it's got the drop the lowest grade on, so we can look at this as it develops. Let's go back and look at the weights. I have 2 grade items under 3 categories. What it has done is it has distributed each one evenly. For my discussions, my category is 35. My weight is 50-50. Because if I have 6, this number has to equal 100% of this 35 weight. And the same thing for each one of these categories. And then your categories have to equal 100% of your final grade. This is what we're building up to. And let me add a presentation. Okay. So now we have something under every category. And as you see, this one's 100%. Now we're going to look at the association column. If you notice, there is nothing here, there is nothing but a dash. Even though I have this structure built out, and I come over to my Enter Grades area, I can see each category and each grade item, but there's still one more thing we need to do. This association is blank. If this is blank, it will not push those grades as they come in from your students into that column in the gradebook. So we got to connect that missing piece. So we do that by going to the tool, discussions, assignments, quizzes, so on. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over here to my discussions. And here's discussion 1. We'll select the down arrow and edit topic. I'm going to do this by clicking on the assessment tab, and I'm going to choose a grade item. So I click on the down arrow here and I can select M1 discussion. Now here's where I can do it on the fly when I'm creating the tool. I can create a new grade item and as I go, and I'll do that in a few minutes. So I'm going to do a score out of, we're going to call it 10. It does have, you have to put something here or it won't save it. I'm going to save and close. Now you'll see here that discussion 1 and discussion 2 has a little key icon, a little tool icon that states it's included in your assessment. So that means you have these two connected to the grade items that we created in the gradebook. Now 3 and 4 doesn't have one, so we're going to do this right now. Discussion 3, we're going to say edit topic. Okay, so I click on the down arrow and you will see that I don't have any more discussion grade items. So this is when I would click on new grade item and I would create a name for it. So M3 discussion, and this is where I put it in the category. So I'm going to select discussions, save, and I do have to give it an out of score. This can be any number that you use. I'm just using 10. You will see that all of these are now showing that they are connected to the assessment area. So let's go look at the gradebook and see what it looks like now. So I'm going to click on grades from the top and grades again and manage grades. Now you will see that my discussions have an association in this association column. When discussion 1 gets graded, it will push this into the gradebook. And sometimes if you name these differently, I like to keep the naming conventions the same as the activity itself that you're using because it's just easier to find. But if you have trouble deciding which one, maybe you connected the wrong one, you can click on the question mark and it will tell you which item you have it connected to, and it will show your max points, percentages, and it's in the category of discussion. So it kind of gives you a path of where to go look to fix it. Let's do a couple of the Dropboxes and let you see the difference between what the Dropbox look and feel is to compare to the discussions. I'm going to go and I'm going to connect these grade items to these two, and I'm going to create some also. So I'm going to go to Assessment Dropbox. Under Assignment 1, click on the down arrow, Edit Folder. Now you see this looks completely different than what we had. We're going to click on the grade out of area. It's going to push everything over so we can add what we need. The grade out of might be 20 points. And we're going to click on in the gradebook. There you'll get this drop down arrow and you want to select edit or link existing. You have two options. You have create a link for a new grade item, or you can link it to an existing. I already have a grade item for this. I'm going to choose link to an existing and then select the grade item from the drop down and say OK and OK again. Save and close. So there's that little key that shows it's tied to an assessment. I'm going to do this to the others as well. I don't have an assignment 3 grade item. So I am going to tell this to, I'm going to select the radio button, create and link a new grade item. It's automatically going to call it the same as your activity. And I'm going to choose a grade category here. This is an assignment Dropbox and say OK and save and close. So you see you have your little key that shows all of these are in the gradebook. I'm going to create one on the fly, show you how you can do that without having to go back and forth. So I'm going to create a new folder and we're going to call this assignment 5. Click on the out of grade and the same thing, edit or link to an existing, and I'm going to select create and link to a grade item and let it create the grade item for me, and I'll put it in the assignment category. OK and save and close. And now I have 5 assignments. Let's go look at the gradebook, what it looks like in manage grades. So you'll see now I have 5 assignments under my assignment category, and I have 4 discussions under my discussion category. And as you see, this is doing the math for me. So I have 4 discussions at 25% each. That's 100% of the 35. And I have no error messages. So if the math doesn't add up, it will tell you by giving you an error message at the top. And again, I have 5 assignments, and each one of them I have with the different max points. The system did the math for me and gave it 20% for each item. That is 100% of the 30 category. And the same thing for the quiz and the presentation. So I think by now you have a good idea of how to build this structure out. And like I said, you need to make that association or the grade will not be pushed into the gradebook category in your inner grades area, which will cause a lot of questions from your students. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to the CTE. Thank you.